Okay, so I'm going to be doing a VOD review for Fidelity. I believe they're a silver Junker Queen player, and they were looking for tips that are not mechanics based. Obviously, mechanics are something that will come with time. I'm not going to go too in depth with them, uh, aim wise, but I will give you pointers of kind of what to look for and other parts of this VOD. I just don't think there's something you can immediately change. Just aim better is obviously not particularly helpful advice for your next few games, but obviously over time your aim will improve unless you do something very wrong. Anyways, I took a look. Actually, I will say one more thing. Unfortunately, Queen is a very mechanics-based character. Her shotgun has decent range. And by decent range, it has a pretty tight spread and not too much fall off. I think it depends on the character. About 15 meters is a decent estimate of when you can expect it to stop doing too much damage. So hitting shots with Queen is very valuable, right? Because if you miss, you get heavily punished, and she does decent damage out to range, right? If you hit knives, the amount of kills you can get because you can pull people out of position drastically goes up. So having good mechanics on Queen, like shooting mechanics, is very valuable. And also having good movement mechanics is also very valuable. I'm sure you can see you're not actually that much bigger than like any random other character in the cast, right? So if you are good at moving, you can block a ton of damage just by being hard to hit, right? So imagine like if you're a Roadhog, you'd literally be like probably twice the width of your character right now, and pretty much the same height ish, or like even Ryan or Diva, you're just way easier to hit. And as those characters, I mean, not all of them. Like Roadhog, for example, has no mobility, so he's like probably the easiest character in the game to hit. But as Queen, you can see you're barely larger than the rest of your team, so you can really use your small hitbox to your advantage to dodge stuff if you have good mobility. I mean, sorry, good movement mechanics. Okay, anyways, the top 3 problems I've noticed in your gameplay are your cooldown usage, your cover usage, and your general positioning. So kind of going point by point, I think you use your shout kind of for no reason, right? You either want to use it to save yourself or use it to aggress on the enemy team to get a pick, and then use the the tail end of it to escape. I don't really, I'm not quite sure what you're looking for right now when you use it, but it really does not seem like you use it proactively and look for plays with it. It's definitely not an ability you want to randomly use because it has a very long cooldown, right? I think it's 12 seconds or so, and it's pretty much your only form of defense except being hard to hit. So if you waste it a lot, I'd expect to lose fights, right? On the contrary, pretty much opposite end of the spectrum, your knife, you should probably use pretty much every single time you have it. Landing a knife and pulling someone out of position, like pulling them off high ground or something, or pulling them in the open, is generally a guaranteed kill. It's a pretty strong cooldown. And the problem, or I guess not the problem, but the thing is, even if you miss the knife, no problem, because you still do decent damage from mid-range anyways, where you can actually like follow up on knife pulls in the first place, right? So there's really no reason to not be using it as often as possible. Again, you really cannot get punished if you miss it. Not very easily, right? It's kind of like Roadhog Hook, but Queen's mid-range is so much better and she's so much harder to hit that it's even more free to throw knife than it is to throw hook. And Carnage, you want to use to cleave multiple people or to follow up like on bulkier targets after a knife pull-in, right? So Queen's mechanics are kind of important, like combo mechanics. I think the ideal thing to do is to shoot, knife pull someone in, shoot them again, and then melee them. Ideally, be shooting them in the head when you pull them in, because it's kind of free, right? They follow a predictable trajectory once you pull them in. So the follow-up shot, as long as you're used to it, should be easy in theory, I suppose. And it can pretty much insta-kill squishies. And the axe can be a good follow-up on, one, to get your bleed up time, right? Because you also heal through bleeding. So you should strive to be getting as much bleed damage as possible as queen. 1 and 2, you know, because you can't kill tanks or bulkier targets just by shooting them. After a knife pull, just like one shot won't kill them, you can carnage them, right? So just keep those things in mind. Cover usage, you take a lot of unnecessary damage. Very important as queen because your health is so low. You know, sometimes there's no point in engaging, right? Let them peek you and clear the people out that are on your side, like in your space, on your, you know, your side of the map. So if you just play cover and make it hard for the enemy team to shoot you without aggressing, you're still holding space, but you're just taking less resources from your team, right? In your positioning, you need to be more, in my opinion, dynamic of how you play around the map and how you react to how many people are alive on your team and how many people are alive on the enemy team and what their positioning is. And I'll show this examples of this as we watch. So here, small thing. If you have Juno or Lucio, I would not shout at the beginning of the match. And if you do shout, you know, in other matches, pretty much do it as soon as the gate opens, so you have it back as soon as possible. The problem is, because you already have speed boost in your team, you're going to be showing up at the fight, and you're still going to have like 8 seconds on cooldown on the shout, which gives the enemy team an opening to like take really aggressive angles, right? You can't punish any rotations easily without shout, so something to keep in mind. Kind of cover usage thing here, right? You're just kind of eating spam. You can't do anything from this range. A big part of learning tank is learning where you can control the map from, and generally that means where you can do damage from without taking full damage from the enemy team. It's a little more complicated than that, but I'm sure you can imagine from this range, like this is where a Widow or an Ashe wants to play. You're literally going to be doing like 5 damage from this range. You don't want to be sitting here. Just run pretty much straight to point. No point in even trading with this guy. Okay, so this is one thing I will say mechanics-wise, right? I'm not going to comment on your aim or anything. You hit a knife, that's great. What you should be looking to do, if you're not particularly like familiar with the knife hitbox, and you know if you're going to hit or miss. If you don't know if you're going to hit or miss, it's fine. Just sit out here for a second or two, right? The only people that can shoot you right now are the Orisa or the Brig. You know, you can't. No one else has LOS on you, so it's perfectly fine. You know, and it also is silver, so you're not going to get hard punished. You know, they're not going to hit everything. If you're unsure if the knife's going to hit, just literally just sit here. You know, jiggle peek a little, or you know, move a little still. And if the knife hits, great. Just stay and keep shooting her and get the pick. If it doesn't, no problem. Your cover is literally right here, right? So don't immediately run away after throwing a knife, because by doing this, the Brig's able to escape. I'm sure you can see if you just were standing here, pulled the knife back in, and continued to shoot her, she'd die, right? You give up an opportunity to get a pick, kind of for no reason. Again, this is like a big problem, right? You get no value with the shout. The Brig's already rotated away from you. You're down your knife, and this Orisa's full health, and you're still healthy yourself. Like, you're not really getting any value with this shout. Right? Okay, here, good knife. I would have kept shooting and then just carnaged her because she has the shield, right? So no need to pull her away unless she tries to. This might be a little too advanced. Unless she tries to shield bash away or whip shot you away. No reason to pull her in because she's already point blank. Just shoot her, pull out your axe, just hit her through her shield, and then keep shooting her, and she'll die regardless. But it's okay. No reason to be afraid of her. Just keep walking to her. Okay, you can see because your cover usage is not good here. Orisa is basically impossible to kill in gold unless 5 people are shooting her. If she goes gold, just don't even trade with her, right? Just play cover, especially because she's getting tanked, right? This is basically right now a 1v2, and Orisa's gold, and you don't have shout, so you're very likely to die here if you don't play cover. No reason to even peek there, Orisa, right? Force her to try to get value out of her gold by peeking you, not the other way around, right? If she just wants to use gold for no reason, she's full health, right? So she's in no danger of dying. She can't really push anyone and kill them unless you make a mistake. See, by pushing her, you force out shout again, and you're just perpetually in like a bad shout cycle. So now this would be an okay time to push the repro. So if you miss, it happens. Imagine if you had Shout right now. You force out Wraith, right? Look how low this Reaper is. Even if he's getting healed, you can Shout in, keep shooting him, because now he doesn't have his bailout ability. So now because you don't have Shout, you can't chase this Reaper. I will say this is kind of like a positioning thing, right? They're taking a ton of angles on you. Your team all died last fight. So really, you should have been backing out much sooner than you are now. I think you lost your Widow and your Juno. I know you at least lost your Juno. I think your Reaper may have just come back. I don't remember exactly because I've been a little distracted talking from everything else. But I'm sure you can see. Look how many angles they have on you now, just because they had more players than you had, right? You know, Tracer's here, Reaper's here, Orisa's here. You can't hold all these angles at once because you have no team. Your team was down from the beginning of the fight. You should have been backing out once you forced out that Wraith and you don't have Shout, right? Because you can't turn the fight without your cooldowns. Okay, so your entire team just died. It's okay just to chill here, you know. I think it's okay as Queen, you know, since you have that knife, you can pull people out of position and maybe get a kill. Just like peek every so often. Like right now you could be peeking, throwing a knife. Again, cover usage thing. Your entire team's dead and your Widow's probably about to die again. So just chill. Literally, I think this is probably as close as you can get, right? Peek this corner, throw a knife. If it doesn't hit anything, no problem. Just play here, don't take damage. Wait for your team to get back so you don't force out cooldowns for yourself, right? You see, you're walking up way too early. Your team is just walking out of spawn. And now you're already down health, so your team can't help you. Your supports can't help you DPS this Orisa away. Again, you use Shout. But there's no reason to, right? Or at least there should be no reason to. So again, imagine you save Shout right now, the Reaper's forced out because he Wraith, and the Brig has no shield again, and this Tracer's weak. Imagine if you had Shout now and you weren't peeking earlier. You could chase down this Brig, for example, shoot out the Tracer, you know, do something, chase the Reaper. These are opportunities for you to go in if you just saved your Shout for an opportunity to do so. Okay, that's good. Force out recall. Again, your entire team's down, so you just have to kind of chill here, right? I'd be using Shout to get away, because by the time your team respawns, you're gonna have Shout back anyways for the next fight. No reason to go in here. This fight's basically it's already down. Okay, so they let you out. This is fine here. Just poke him away. Again, cover usage thing, right? No reason to wide peek this. You can, right? Because you can only shoot every so often. So what you really should be doing if you can't get a good engagement, which basically means if you can't kill someone pretty much immediately, just play corners, right? Just shoot, come back, shoot again, right? Because you have a half second of downtime between every time you shoot. So there's no reason just to walk in like this and take all this extra damage. It's fine. Yeah. Throw a knife, you miss it. Happens sometimes. But I'm sure you can see just by waiting for your team to regroup, you're still taking a ton of attention in the front, and that allows your Reaper to go behind and get that good ult. So. Here, no reason not to be throwing a knife, right? You see, you're just eating so much damage by standing out in the open. No need to do this. You're pretty much just standing still right here. Walk here, throw a knife. If it misses, no problem. Just chill. You literally can't do anything to the Mei from here. And if she starts pushing early, this side, for example, no problem. You can walk up here, start shooting her, force out her cooldowns, because you're going to win at this close of a range against Mei, right? With your full team's help. I mean, I guess there's a Reaper in the back line, but this Mei is engaging too early. So if she decides to over peak, you can punish her. But you don't want to be blowing your resources, just kind of standing in the open, not doing anything. See, you're like doing nothing. It's not really because you're missing, it's because she's a little too far away. Sure, you can see if you just didn't take all that damage and your shout wasn't forced out, now this is an opportunity to use shout to kill this Reaper. Okay, I'd say this is a good ult. The Orisa gets a good ult too, because you wait until the ice block is forced, and you wait until she used wall earlier, and I don't know if you were doing all this in your head, and you also saw the Orisa spear. I think it's okay to ult and just to force out Suzu, because you literally hit their entire team, and you're still going to be set up at an off angle behind their team, right? So chances are the Kiri won't be able to Suzu anyone, but their Orisa has a good ult too, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. And sometimes if they have a good ult, right, don't worry about it too much. There are things you could have done to do a little bit better, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, again, kind of no reason to shout there. Fortunately, he has a good Reaper ult, but... Right, no reason to be walking that close to a Reaper because your shotgun has better spread than you, better range than his, right? You want to be poking him out, trying to hit a knife on him. If you do enough poke, right, and force out his Wraith. Kind of a positioning thing, right? Playing to the strengths of your characters and the weakness of your opponent's characters. Ideally, what do you want to be doing, right? See, skip forward just a little bit here.
Ready. We'll turn the tables on them.
Oh, they're coming!
Okay, so here, what I generally do is I play around this central thing. You don't generally want to go straight to point. I mean, some comps you do, but since you have a Widow, right? If you run straight to point, your Widow can't help you anymore, right? That's not the primary reason I want to go straight to point. The primary reason is, especially Queen, you know, you're not very brawly. So if you run straight to point against their comp, I'd expect to lose, one. And two, you can get value from playing mid-range, right? You can hit a good knife, pull someone out and kill them. Or if you just let them walk to straight to point, no problem. You just take high ground above them and you take all these angles, right? If they're stuck sitting down here, how are they possibly to defend against someone shooting from, for example, here? Maybe your Widow plays like on this, I don't know, bench or something. You play in the middle, like here, and someone takes this angle. What are they going to do, right? So if you fight for the top control and then walk point after you win, that's ideal. Yeah, good kill here. It's pretty good. Again, if you have knife, look for an opportunity to use it, right? It's a free cooldown, more or less. You could be throwing it at this Mei right now. If you miss it, you can still push her, right? No biggie. She's used wall, and two of her teammates are dead. So she can't really kill you right now. If you hit it, great. You get another pick. Should have been a bit more aggressive. That's okay. Yeah, I feel like you're a little too afraid, right? You should be aware. Again, kind of positioning thing, numbers thing. You have the player advantage, right? You can see, you know, your Kiri was healing you. Your Junkrat's in front of you right now. I guess, you know, your Juno's with you now. She just threw the speed ring down. There's only two people here. What are they going to do? This Mei probably doesn't have her wall back quite yet. So she's definitely... Okay, I guess she just got it back. Regardless, you can push her really hard right now. No reason to be so afraid, right? They're taking a 2v1, or 2v4, sorry. They should be getting punished for this, right? Yeah, no reason to shout here. I don't think you had to run away from that. It was still a fair fight, more or less. I think you were maybe down one. You could have still fought that out and bought more time for your team to look for a pick. It's okay. It's not that much. Okay, so if they have a Widow, one thing I recommend, because the Widow is probably going to be a problem here. She has killed 2, right? if you come down here, your team's pretty safe from the Widow angle. You just have to watch out for the May's wall on the Orisa's spinning you off the map or something along those lines. But that's a different place you can go than going main, because as you can see, you're pretty much just like, she's pretty much shooting fish in a barrel. Alternatively, you can also go this way if you rotate fast enough. See her angles on you are a lot worse. Right, just if they have a Widow that's kind of destroying your team, don't go main. Just go future. So here, it's okay to shout, because again, your entire team's dead, so if you just want to run away with this shout, you'll get it by the time your team gets back. But what you need to be doing, right, you're making kind of the same mistake that the Mei and Kiri made earlier, down lower, by fighting like a 2v4 or in this case a 2v5, right? It's just you and the Juno, there's no shot you win this. Just run away. If they were better, they could have chased and killed you both here and stacked with you. It's perfectly fine to chill here, right? Just wait. And what you should be looking for is if something like overextends, like this Moira. This Moira just ran into your, she faded, I should say. She faded into your team, which means she can't fade out. If you just literally sit here, start shooting her, so this Mei has to peek you really far, you can probably get a kill because your entire team can look at her, right? And she has no escape abilities. Now, she used her fade. So this is fine. Yep. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Punishing the people that are in your space is perfect. Okay, here it's perfectly fine to be walking because you know you're up players. Fortunate. Again, what if you just use your shout right now? You see the Kiri's hacked? What if you just use your shout and run in on her, right? Their tank isn't here. What's she going to do? Teleport away? Okay, you force the teleport away. Now the junk's all alone. You can shoot and kill him, right? You're a tank. You're mobile, right? When you shout, so you're hard to hit, and you can kill this Junkrat, you know, in like 2 or 3 hits, right? Depending on if you hit your knife or something like that, right? Yeah, so if you shout, you kind of have to go in, right? Same thing with the break earlier, right? You just kind of threw the knife, didn't see if you'd land it. It's okay not to fight in the Kiri also. Yeah, no point fighting this. You know, you just lost 2 players. Yeah, I'm sure you can see if they chase you here, you die.
Beat me! Like hell you will!
It's critical.
Everyone's feeling better.
Time for the reckoning!
Okay, so that's unfortunate. No one on your team was able to touch point. I should have been paying closer attention to the time. But I'm sure you can imagine if you just didn't die there and backed up earlier, you wouldn't have been in this like close situation where you have to run back to point. I don't know why your Sombra didn't touch, but that's okay. Sometimes this happens, right? It is silver. I'm unsure if you could have gotten back faster, except shouting faster. I'm sure you can imagine, like, you not making it back to point. Of course, it sucks. If you shouted earlier, you probably could have ulted back on point. But if you didn't make all those mistakes earlier, you wouldn't have been in this position. Okay, so I'll reiterate, right? I think, you know, you have to get your cooldowns, I guess, in better order, right? If don't use your shout unless you see an opening, or you're going to die if you don't use it. Use your knife pretty much every single time you have it. Right, use cover more so you don't eat so much spam. You know, if you don't have to peek, right, just jiggle peek, poke a little, but play your corners right, and positioning right, I guess, or paying attention to like where you should be positioning based off like how many people are alive and stuff along those lines. Very important, right? I guess that's the third thing. And again, kind of off the cooldown thing, get more comfortable with you executing the shoot, knife, and shoot combo. Okay, I hope this helps.